#1 most wished for item during the 2015 holiday season? Okay, every 12 seconds one was sold. 'Tis the season, right? Okay, I don't know about you, but when I was younger, I never wrote my letter up north asking for a $400 device that did the same thing my 2 feet were capable of. But maybe that was just me and the way I was raised. So, growing up, my family never went on big fancy vacations like the rest of my friends always did. Instead, we bought a trailer and we traveled from place to place in the summer. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not my idea of a vacation. I was sharing a space smaller than my actual room with 3 other people to eat, sleep, and shower. How did I get this one? So, we would sit outside, talk, blah, 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 and I never enjoyed this until there was one trip that we went on, and it was at Bolsa Chica State Beach in Huntington. And if I was lucky, my parents would let my brother and I ride to the pier, and we would hang out there for the rest of the day. So it was on one of those lucky days that my idea of happiness changed forever. My brother and I had just finished riding to the pier, and we were watching the same street show that we watched every year. They were called the Flying Tortillas, and this is them. And what they were doing was doing flips and crazy stunts on the side of the streets until the cops came and told them to get lost. And for some reason, we found this so amusing, and we would watch it every year. But there was something different about the show this year. There was a guy playing the bongos while all the other guys did flips. And the weird thing was I'd seen him before, and I knew his name was Kenny. So the reason I knew who he was because I was in love with this band that he used to be a part of a few years back. And he quit, and no one heard about him since. But after the show, I went up to Kenny, and I told him how I knew him from his band and how awesome it was to finally meet him, so on and so forth. This is the picture of Kenny and I from that day. And now, as you could probably tell, Kenny isn't rich. In fact, he barely has anything at all. But he makes the best out of what he was given, and that's what I found so entertaining. And he even managed to start a nonprofit with another one of his friends, and they were making the best out of their life. Before meeting Kenny, I always thought that true happiness came from material possessions. The more you had, the happier you were. But after meeting him, I realized that wasn't the case. So I started to ask myself that question, then where does true happiness come from? And after meeting Kenny at the pier, we biked back, and I was so happy to go tell my parents. I was like, Mom, Dad, you're never going to believe who I met at the pier, blah, blah, and they go, you did what? You talked to a guy on the side of the street. Kelly, Tracy, go get your daughter. She's going crazy. And my parents at first, like any other parents, aren't too happy to hear their 13-year-old daughter went and made friends with a street performer on vacation. But they soon looked past it because I came back safe, I was having a good time, and for once I wasn't complaining. So this was a win in their eyes. And I became obsessed with finding what brought me true happiness. If Kenny can make the best out of what he was given, then why can't I? And I eventually joined his nonprofit, Team Inspire, and I worked my way up to become an ambassador for the project. And I truly did find happiness in working with other people across the globe, just like me, that wanted to make a difference in people's lives and the environment. But I wondered, why would helping other people bring me happiness? I mean, I'm not getting anything out of it, so why am I feeling better about myself? And a good answer to this question lies in Michael Norton's TED Talk, How to Buy Happiness. And in his TED Talk, he gives several college students an envelope and a message. And each envelope says to either take the money and spend it on someone else or on yourself. And what he found after that was really amazing, and it was that people who went and spent their money on other people and had pro-social spendings came back saying that they felt better about themselves, they had a better day, and their happiness level had increased. Whereas the people who spent the money on themselves felt no different. And it's actually scientifically proven, and not in this graph, this is just one generally made to show that when you spend money on yourself, you're not going to have as high as a happiness level as you would if you were to go and purchase something for someone else. And that's what I found really amazing, because that's what was making me happy, and I truly enjoyed doing what I was doing. So after that, I started to enjoy going on my camping trips. I was realizing that less was more to me. But I didn't see the same correlation for my friends who always got everything they always wanted. They were obsessed with having more and more. And what I was doing one day was, while all my other friends were on their big fancy vacations going across the world, I was sitting in my bed watching Netflix, and I came across this documentary called I Am. And I Am is by Tom Shadyac, and it's the story of himself along with several others and how they explain what it means to have everything you always wanted, but it's not what you expected. There's actually this thing called overconsumption. And overconsumption is when you become obsessed with buying things, and you have to have everything. You have to have the newest, coolest gadgets, and you continuously buy and buy and buy until you will have everything you always wanted, and it won't be enough for you. You won't be happy with it. And overconsumption is actually higher in those with higher wages. And what happens is that they don't feel complete. They're incomplete because they don't have everything they wanted. And what actually Tom goes on by saying was, after he became famous, he started to spend all of his extra money on himself and nowhere else. So he ended up having a lower happiness level than when he was not famous. And he goes on by saying, I was standing in a house that my culture had taught me was a measure of the good life. I was struck with one very clear, very strange feeling. I was no happier. So this is a graph that shows the general correlation between your income and your happiness. So although people who have higher incomes may increase at a faster rate, they reach a static happiness point where they cannot go any higher. And eventually they won't go anywhere but down. Whereas the people who have a lower income down here may grow at a slower pace, they won't reach static happiness until way later in life. And it leads for them to stay happier and to enjoy life and enjoy the rewards they get from working hard. So, I'm not saying that doing well and receiving cash is a bad thing. In fact, it's amazing for people to do, and it takes a lot of work and dedication to get to where you are. But there are other things you could do that give off the same positive effect as getting money. For example, it's been scientifically proven that giving someone a compliment has the same effect on your brain as giving or receiving cash. So the striatum, which is the part of your brain, this pink part, that is activated when you receive cash, reacts the same way to a $20 bill as it would to a genuine compliment. And I found that really amazing because if this is how our brain works in a way, why do we value money over kindness? I mean, I don't have the answer to the question, and I want to know it just as well as you. But what I found was, even after that day, I became so happy just to have what I had, and I didn't need extra. I didn't need material possessions. And Kenny became a family friend to us. We go to Huntington every year now, at least twice a year, and we invite him down for dinner and a bonfire. And it's crazy to see how the first picture I showed my family after I came back and how he is now. So I learned something on the side of a street from a happy hippie a little over 3 years ago that most teenagers don't understand until way later in life. I don't know what it was, but he unlocked the key to true happiness for me. And I don't know how a stranger could do that in a 13-year-old girl, but I realized that I don't need everything. And in fact, I don't need a material possession to give me an idea of what true happiness is. So next time that you're looking to increase your happiness, I hope you put away your wallet and you take out some kindness.